Hey guys, welcome back to the CulePodcast. Welcome back to another video. On today's video, guys, we're going to be looking at the words of both Hansi Flick and Pau Cubarsí as they spoke in the press conference before Barcelona's match against Benfica tomorrow in the UCL round of 16. And so we're going to be looking at their words, analyzing them, and giving my thoughts in regards to that. But guys, before I get started on the video, make sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms. Everything is posted down below in the description. Go over there and check me out. That way you guys can stay up to date with everything that I do on the channel. But guys, let's get started with the video. All right, guys, let's get started with the video and let's look at the words of Hansi Flick as he spoke in the press conference before Barcelona's match against Benfica. He starts off by talking about Gavi, whether he's going to be involved, and he says, "We'll see. He didn't train yesterday, but because he didn't feel well, the doctor will see him and decide." But one positive thing in regards to Gavi is that he did train today, and so that is some good news. Whether he starts against Benfica, I don't know. But even if Gavi's 100% fit, why doesn't Hansi Flick go for Dani Olmo? I think that's the more viable option. I think you want to have Dani Olmo start, but we'll see what Hansi Flick does. Hansi Flick talks about the return and the outward journey. It says we have to think that there will be a second leg. Obviously, we are facing one of the best teams in the tournament. They play very well. We have to play better than them. And Barcelona, they have to know that going into that match, this Benfica team is going to be a very, very difficult opponent to play against. And they did score 4 against us when we last faced them in the same stadium. And so Barcelona, they are going to have to be on their toes and being, 100% concentrated in the match. Flick talks about whether it's going to be similar. And he says, they have their own way of playing and we have ours. Tomorrow, we will see what happens. I hope to see a better dynamic than in the last visit. It will be a difficult match. And hopefully it is, a different type of game. And it's not a game where Barcelona, we are trying to, have a comeback. Hansi Flick now talks about Robert Lewandowski. It says it's always good to have a striker who scores so many goals and for the team to give him that opportunity. It's a collective mission. That's the key. We have to continue like we have these last 2 months. And that is in regards to Robert Lewandowski, breaking his personal record at Barcelona. And we're going to need him to add a lot more goals to that goal tally for Barcelona to gain some silverware and have a very, very successful season. And it's very dependent on how Robert Lewandowski does. If Robert Lewandowski, if he is able to perform and put away the chances that Barcelona do create for him, then we can be seeing some very, very fruitful matches for Barcelona and a positive end to the season. But we'll see. Hansi Flick, he now talks about Neymar's return. He says, it's not my job. I'm very focused on this team and the season. You have to be focused. It's the job of other positions in the club, not mine. And I love this response from Hansi Flick because, as he said right here, it's not his job to be worried about transfers. His job is to manage the team. That is Deco's job. Deco and Joan Laporta and all the people in the sporting, part of the club doing all the planning, they are the people who should be involved in this, and it shouldn't be Hansi Flick who has the responsibility of making those decisions. Hansi Flick talks about Gavi and Olmo. He says Gavi can play in different positions. He presses and gives us a defensive attitude. He plays well with the ball. Olmo enjoys being in that position. He scores goals and creates chances. Both players are completely different. Gavi is a more, I would say, box-to-box midfielder. Both are very technical, but this is where Olmo, he does shine. His technical quality is superior of that of Gavi's, and he's more of an offensive attacking midfielder. That is his position. He's a number 10, and so looking at tomorrow's match against Benfica, how does Hansi Flick line up? Does he want to have both Pedri and Frankie on the base, but have Gavi in the number 10, or would he want to have Pedri, Marcelo, and Dani Olmo in that midfield? We're going to have to see what Hansi Flick decides to do. Hansi Flick, he talks about Marcelo and Gerard Martin, who they have scored in Barcelona's previous match. He says, it's fantastic. They showed me a photo of the players celebrating the goal, and I like it. They are grateful for La Masia's education, and they show it that way. And I absolutely love it when La Masia players, they are able to succeed and, come up into the first team, because these are fans of the club just like us who want the club to succeed and be the best it can possibly be. And that's what you get for having La Masia players. Hansi Flick, he talks about Barcelona's last being champions in 2015. It says there is no easy match in this phase. Benfica is a fantastic rival that has a stadium with a special atmosphere, and it will be difficult. And that's been Hansi Flick's motto. His mindset is that this is going to be a very difficult match. He's respecting Benfica, not giving anything away, and then like that. He talks about being favored for the Champions League. It says I always think about the next game, and it's Benfica. I don't think it's good to talk about it, to go beyond that. We started 0-0, and we have to give everything in every game. Our rivals also want to beat us. And that's once again, the perfect attitude to have. You want Barcelona to be focused on their next upcoming match and not to be focused on, the UCL final. Because even though we have a favorable route, Barcelona, we have to go game by game because an upset can completely derail those plans. And then you're looking at a completely different story. And so Barcelona should be focused and prioritizing each and every game as it comes and, now focus on the long term. Obviously, long term, that's for, the club to be worried about, but the team necessarily, it's just go game by game, win game by game. Hansi Flick talks about the 11. He says, I'm not going to give any clues. I sometimes do it, but I'm not doing it now, especially in the Champions League. And right there, he's, drawing a line. He's going to give zero clues on what tomorrow's lineup can be. And is there a surprise waiting for us? We'll see. He talks about Benfica's individualities. He says, I don't like to talk about names, but about the team. I like the way they play with the ball, but they come in from the wings and it's difficult to defend their plan. We have a strategy in place to measure ourselves, and I think we are ready. And right there, we're going to see tomorrow how Barcelona do defensively against a very, very difficult opponent. But it wasn't only Hansi Flick who spoke in the press conference. It was also Pau Cubarsí who went along him. And Pau Cubarsí started off by talking about Benfica. He says, we have to try to minimize the chances and do what we did in the previous phase when it comes to scoring. And so right there, limit the amount of opportunities that Benfica they can create, but at the same time, do the things that worked well for us in the return leg in order to score those goals. And that's absolutely fantastic. Pau Cubarsí, he talks about the La Masia players. He says, sharing a dressing room with the La Masia players makes everything easier. There is a mix of experience and youth that makes us do something magnificent. The fact that Barca supports La Masia is a source of pride. Pau Cubarsí talks about Inigo Martinez. He says, yes, I've shared almost the entire season with Inigo, but with Ronald and Eric, I feel comfortable with all of them. It's a very contested position, and we are giving our all. And the competitive nature for that center back spot is through the roof. We have so many good center backs right now that any of them can play. But in regards to Pau Cubarsí, he is our best defender, and it's just going to be determined on who partners alongside him. Pau Cubarsí, he talks about winning the Champions League. He says, I've been dreaming about it since I was little. It's something I want to achieve. Now it's time to enjoy the moment and try to do it well. And that is the dream of every single, top professional footballer. Their dream is about winning the Champions League. And Pau Cubarsí being here and for wanting to succeed at Barcelona, hopefully he is able to have that moment and lift the trophy. Maybe it could be this year, but who knows? Pau Cubarsí talks about his best moment. He says, making my debut, winning the Supercopa, and scoring are reasons to be proud. Winning the first title and how we did it was spectacular. And that was, back in the start of the year when we beat Real Madrid in that dominant 5-2 fashion. And what a way to win your first trophy with the club in a manner that, that not many teams can do in the world. Absolutely dominating Real Madrid and scoring goals for fun. Pau Cubarsí talks about his room for improvement. He says, since my debut, which was a magnificent night, I have improved a lot in all aspects. Now I know better how the matches go. You have to be focused on every match. Pau Cubarsí talks about La Masia. He says, I've already said that it's a school that trains us to be good footballers, like Puyol and Piqué were. We've been trained for this since we were little, and you can obviously tell, how the transition period is for the La Masia players coming into the first team, because they've been, accustomed to Barcelona's style of play and the philosophy of the club and the way that we do play. It makes it so much easier for them to come into the first team and just makes it a smooth transition. Pau Cubarsí talks about the scoreboard management. He says you have to know how to play the games. Against Atletico in the Copa, we were unlucky to concede 2 goals at the end. Here, there's a return match, and we have to give everything from the start. Every year, Barca has to compete for everything. We're the best club in the world for me. This year, they say we are on a better path, but I don't see it that way. We have to take it game by game. And both Hansi Flick and Pau Cubarsí, they've been putting some emphasis on that statement right there. Take it game by game. And that's what I absolutely want to see from these players. I don't want to see them, focused on the Champions League final, or let's say the semifinals, or even the quarterfinals. You want to be focused in right here. The goal is to reach those latter stages of the competition, but you have to be the team that is ahead of you before you are actually able to get there. Pau Cubarsí, he talks about assessing his progress with Lamine. He says, we wouldn't have believed it a couple years ago, but we are very grateful for what the club has given us, and they are absolute, undisputable starters for Barcelona, being so young in age. Pau Cubarsí talks about his battle versus Pavlidis, the Benfica striker. He says he is a quality player who can hurt us, but he is not the only one who blows. There is more. And I'm guessing that statement because it wasn't really translated, but I'm pretty sure that Cubarsí is referring to the other players in the Benfica attack that can damage Barcelona, and there are going to be more players who can try to harm Barcelona, but have faith in the defense that they can counter that. Pau Cubarsí talks about the offside trap with Ronaldo. He says it doesn't change. Whoever goes out there on the field knows what we must do. We are focused on doing well, and let's see if he is actually going to be started in tomorrow's match. He continues to talk about Benfica. He says that they had a great first half in the other game. We were able to turn it around, but we have to try to be focused from the start. The key part of the season is beginning. When the titles are at stake, we want to continue this good dynamic, and hopefully Barcelona, we are able to do very well in tomorrow's match. We're going to have to be very focused and concentrated and make sure that we don't repeat the mistakes that we did in the match that we played that ended in a 5-4 victory for Barcelona. Even though, we won, we did create a lot of mistakes, and that is something that Barcelona, we cannot allow in tomorrow's match because, a bad day, it can knock you off from the competition. But guys, that was it for the Barcelona news of the day. I talked about both Hansi Flick and Pau Cubarsí. They gave some insight into tomorrow's match against Benfica. Both of them confident into the team. And I want to know your score predictions down below. How do you guys view Barcelona? How are you guys feeling ahead of what is going to be a huge, huge clash? And as always, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys all on the next video. Peace out, guys. Vamos.